jovial, even if they're supposed to be. This one was tall, dark wavy hair, deep brown eyes, and looked and dressed like a lumberjack, but he was a farmer. And he was sullen, withdrawn, a loner. He used to be good-natured, pleasant, neighborly, until influenza took his young wife and only child in 1918. He could not imagine why life had kicked him that hard at age 19. Didn't like it, didn't really want to go on, but had to. Irish Canadians differ too, especially after 100 years of crossbreeding with other immigrants. This one was pug-nosed, curly red hair, maybe 5'4", and not buried in freckles, but they stood out as if they were proud to be there. She clerked in the general store because somebody had to. Ma couldn't anymore. Arthritis hit her so hard she had become homebound. Outgoing, always dishing out good-natured wisecracks, big smiles, sarcastic but charming. The town only got that now when they went to see Mom. So her daughter had to pull double duty as the clerk in the store and the town comedian. She did both. She did well at both. She knew him, knew about him, found him very good looking like everyone did. But he was so sad, which saddened her. And he never paid any attention to her, which was just wrong. I'd like some cornmeal, please. You can't cook. Fell out of a twisted Irish mouth. And it's not good for much more. What are you going to do with it? Eyes narrowed, head tilted. Pardon me. I have to explain that. Just give me some meal. Chuckling, her arms spreading, she called over her shoulder as she started toward a high shelf. I can't be responsible then. If you come back with it all over you, if it covers your hovel, that's your problem. His mouth snapped shut into tight pursed lips. Well, get over here, she called. I can't reach it. Another customer was in the store. She stepped toward him, almost whispered, "There's no extra charge for the sass." He looked at her in disbelief. Really? It's free. Hey, Frenchie, you want this meal or not? Come here and lift me up so I can reach it. Now he was piqued. He stomped to another shelf to snatch a ladder, hauled it to her, plopped it down, and glared into the teenager's wide blue eyes. There. Do you always carry on like this? You could scare the other customers. Just give me my meal, and believe me, I will not tarry and further defile your establishment. Ooh, big words. She started up the ladder, stopped, looked over her shoulder while conspicuously tugging her skirt to her legs. Do you mind? She scolded. Teeth gritted, he whirled about to face away from her and spat. There. She looked at the other customer, a lady in her 30s, and grinned wickedly. The customer ran her right index finger down her left one twice with a, I can't go. Well,
tisk, tisk.
Tisk, tisk, yeah. She put 2 scoops of meal into a bag and carried it to the counter. I'll give you more when you've proven yourself responsible and mature enough to handle it. And she told him the price. He gave her the money. Plus a smile she didn't hand. His eyes widened, but his lips didn't move. I mean it. You owe me a smile. Oh, she's serious, the other customer said. She won't let you leave without it. He flashed a grin that was more like a demonic grimace, grabbed his meal, and stormed out. Well, if that's all you've got, I'll run a tab and get 2 smiles next time you're in, she called after him. But he'd slammed the door before she finished. You're a naughty girl, Molly, the customer said. He came again almost a week later, and he got more wisecracks, several. He snapped at her once, then regained control, paid silently for a bag of flour, and left. She didn't get a smile. She had to put another one against his account. Molly deliberately ignored him the next time he came in until he was at the counter right in front of her. Then she jerked her head up, startled, like he just materialized out of nothing. You didn't use the flour. Yes, I did. She scanned him head to toe. How'd you get it all off? Jump in the river? The poor man took a deep breath and said, I'd like some nails and fence wire, please. Have you used nails before? You don't treat other customers like this. How do you know? You're the only one here. He stepped back, shook all over, and said, let's start over, Miss, what's your name? Glancing at a sign proclaiming her father's and her name, she replied, must be Molly, I guess. What's yours? Must be Trouble, I guess, her target. Now, can I? But her hilarious giggle stopped him. You do have a sense of humor, a good one, and you're clever. That pays your smile debt. Okay, nails and wire, how much? He looked at her suspiciously. Pound of tins and a roll of baling wire. She had come around the corner to stand next to him. Are you going to lift me up this time, or do you always do things the hard way? I'll get the latter. They aren't on the shelves. I was just fishing for another helping of your wit. Guess I used it all up. And she spun about, sashayed toward the hardware. Moments later, a bewildered Frenchman followed, caught up to her just as she pivoted right in front of him and leaned as near into his face as a mid-sized Irish lass can to a tall Frenchman. Baling wire? Like haywire? I can't let you take nails out in the woods if you're going haywire. I don't know how to take you. I try to be nice and all I get is smart aleck. Why all this sass? Because I like you. You sure have a weird way of showing it. She stretched onto her tiptoes, planted a quick smooch on his cheek, fell back, looked at him in all innocence, and whimpered, is that better? Stunned, he just stared. I'm sorry, she said, and she got his nails and wire. He snapped out of it enough to run and help her with the roll of wire, but they didn't speak until he paid her. You don't owe me a smile since I made you mad. But then he simply threw up his hands in bewilderment, picked up his merchandise, and turned to go. He stopped at the door, looked over his shoulder. Thank you, Molly. The next time he came, her father was in, at the cash register. She was near the door, fixing a display. She looked at him and muttered, I won't touch you, I promise. You tamed down, I think. Oh, I see, your father's here. That's not it. I hurt you, and I'm very sorry. He glanced at the floor, then back at her. I asked around. You're the town cut-up. You can't help it, and people like you. You weren't picking on me. There was a moment of silence. And I know about you, Jacques. Life gave you its worst. It's not fair, and I hurt for you. It's been 3 long years of misery. I wanted to help, thought if I could just get you to smile. Boy, I really messed that one up, didn't I? She got a smile, a real smile from Jacques. She returned it meekly, shyly. And I really do like you, and it's not some silly 18-year-old girl's crush, although you're very nice looking. I would just so much like to see you happy. He could see her eyes moistening. Then she forced a smile through a freckled face that wanted to cry. Another smile reached out from the tall Frenchman, a comforting one that said, it's all right. Stepping closer, he put his hand softly on hers. If you weren't working, I'd ask you to join me in a cup of tea. Looking up at him, she brightened. I'm the owner's little girl. I'm special. Then she waltzed to the counter and whispered into her father's ear. He looked at Jacques, who made a slight wave. The owner looked back at Molly and nodded. She fairly skipped back to Jacques, who was yet again smiling. Her own smile sprouted into a full grin. Jacques held the door for her, and the two of them stepped boldly out of the shadows into a bright, sunshiny afternoon that held bushels and bushels of smiles.